The Music Matters Podcast, episode 1.
The first one.
The first.
But not the last.
Not the last.
No,
Definitely not the last. So what's been going on with you, Kev?
We're finally back.
We're back.
We took a podcast journey. We did, 100 and something amount of episodes?
I don't even remember.
Probably over like 2, maybe 3 years.
That was a long time, man.
I don't know.
Like, that was actually, I feel like that was a lifetime ago.
Mm-hmm.
You
The
know,
radio
most
podcast.
people say like, "Oh man, that feels like yesterday." I don't feel that way. I feel like that was like a different. You know, when you have like these like chapters in your life, you're like, "Oh yeah, dude." When I was like, from like 9 to 12 years old, that was like a big chapter, and then like from like 13 to like 16 or 17, that was a big chapter, and then you turn 18, and then you like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's what that was. The Radium podcast was like this like chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But we definitely got our practice in. We were doing our reps, you know what I mean? Hitting
Yeah,
the gym
dude.
with that one.
Yeah.
So
But what's been going on, man? What's been going on?
it's 2025, dude. Like, we're
Yeah,
here.
I mean, LA's on fire.
LA just, the fires are happening.
That shit's been crazy, man.
Very interesting year, but we live in an interesting time, and I'm not even just talking fires and stuff, but there's so much happening. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I mean, it's been crazy, dude. Like, to open up 2025 with pretty much LA being on fire, people losing their houses. Like, dude, like 2 days ago, it was just raining ash in my backyard. It was
Yeah.
just crazy to me. I was like, what the hell? And then I'm like playing with my dog, and he's like knocking ash off of all the plants, you know?
Yeah.
And there's like ash everywhere. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? And then like, it's still like raining ash from the Sunset Fire, which was like not even like a mile away from my house.
You sure that wasn't like your dandruff?
Yeah.
He was like, actually,
Yeah, this is weird. I was itching my head, and
no, that's bad stuff. Like, that'll give you cancer. That'll
yeah, it was crazy,
mess
dude.
you up.
And I'm just like, I'm on this like app where it's just pinging me all the time. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, this is going on. The fire's spreading here in the Palisades, and this fire's happening, and that fire's happening.
Yeah, I low-key had to tap out because, like, if I went to
It's too
social
much.
media, that's all it was. If
Bro,
everyone was texting me about it, I was texting you. I remember, but
dude, it was
like,
crazy.
yeah, I like at a certain point, it's like, there's still 24 hours in the day, and I can't spend 24 of them just worrying about the fires. So.
Yeah, it's really tough because like
Yeah.
you still got stuff to do.
Yeah.
A lot of people are still dealing with it right now.
Mhm.
The Palisades fire is like crazy, still huge. It's taken over a bunch of stuff, and then you got the one up in the northeast here in Pasadena. I'd say Pasadena, but it's like spread even further than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Altadena, Pasadena.
Dude, it's crazy.
They pushed it out of Glendale, though. That's what I was happy about, because I'm in Los Feliz. That's where I live, so it was coming towards me. But I think, if anything, the Sunset Fire was like our major point
That was
concern.
that was not even like a. I feel like that was like a moment, like a historical moment, like where you're like, holy shit, this can get to me too.
Yeah.
Like being here in Hollywood, like the fire can like, it's like right there.
Yeah.
And like, I was right on the edge of like having mandatory evac, like that's crazy to me, bro.
I actually, so there was such bad gridlock in Hollywood that I ended up just walking around just to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And there's like literally people running around with their suitcases, in hand,
Dude.
and like the traffic wasn't moving, so people, I'm sure, were just parking their cars. The gas stations were all full up with people. Like, people were freaking out.
Oh yeah, people were losing their mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, we'll stop talking about fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I've been really like, what's going on with the music stuff, because like for me personally, it's just been really hard to focus on being creative.
That's what I was saying. We're in such a interesting place in 2025.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think right now we're in like a very transitional period, in everything, society, and especially music.
Politics.
You know what I mean? Politics.
Everything.
Yeah. It's like, we're in this big transition moment. And so, especially when we look at music, like, the things that were the mainstays in music, they're transitioning super heavy.
Really heavy.
And I think a good example of that is probably, hip hop has ruled the charts for, the past, I want to say 2, and you could make an argument for 3 decades, but it's really been the last 2 decades, I would say, since the, early 2000s, I'd say hip hop really became
early
mainstay.
2000s. Yeah.
So
It's a good point. I mean, you know, yeah, it's like 90s was like the golden era.
Yeah.
Which where like hip hop was still underground.
Yeah, and with that transition happened in like I said, probably the mid 2000s.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, we're 2025, so right around 2005, that's like I'd say 2 decades.
What was that like that was like 50 Cent started like popping off with like his big stuff.
Yeah, and that's
like when it started going pop. It started going really mainstream.
Commercialized, yeah. Because you know, in
Eminem.
Yeah. At any point, like a genre, like, you know, everybody kind of builds off, you know, their forefathers and the people that, you know, established the genre. So we got to this point where it's like, okay, now this is like becoming a very commercialized thing where it's hitting the masses.
Yeah, it stopped being about, like, you know, 80s really like, let's talk the Bronx, like bringing hip hop to sort of its like, what it is, right? It's like the DJs, the Cool Hercs, the now we got a VJ, you know, we got a guy on there, the MC, you know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, you know, it's like a party thing or whatever, and it's a cultural thing, and it's a city thing.
Yeah.
And it's parties, and it's like, you know, big speakers and like having fun and block parties and shit. And then it was like, you know, like then that shifts to like, okay, now let's make it like about social justice and shit, right? Like you had Public Enemy, and you had like a Tribe Called Quest, and you had all these like kind of you know, socio-political kind of stances going on with hip hop. And then there was like this really interesting shift that happened where it was like, oh shit, people are really liking this. Yeah. Like maybe we can make some record sales.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this started,
right?
You know,
like
we've
Suge Knight and like Death Row. And
we've
like,
seen the movie, right? The NWA movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, dude. Yeah. I've watched so many documentaries on hip hop. Like I was obsessed with hip hop. You know, very obsessed.
Yeah.
You know, got into the I'm gonna go get techniques. You know, the 1200 MK1, MK2, MK3s. You know? Bro, yeah, MPCs, SP 1200 sampling. Yeah, dude, that was like such a huge part of my music journey.
I made a whole career off of hip hop. So you
facts.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember listening to unreleased Kanye West tracks that you were showing me that you're like working on when you were 18, like when I first met you. Yeah, that's what we had in common, bro. I think that's why we really connected and became friends, because I remember like going over to your apartment, and we were going to school together at the time, and for music,
it's college,
for sound, right? And I remember like we just like just talking about music for hours, and then it was like, oh fuck, let's listen to some beats, let's make some beats, let's talk about music, talk about music. And then it was like, oh yeah, I get it, you get it, you get what I'm saying. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was crazy, dude. What a crazy time. And then hip hop really did turn in, it took a pivotal turn to just being monetized. It became like, I'd say in the last like 10 years, really, the last decade has been like hip hop's turn into just a commodity.
It's over commercialization. It's just like what happens with every genre. I mean, you also, you know, saw that in rock, because by the, you know, when we're talking this transition period, you know, when hip hop became the mainstay, that was from rock music,
for sure.
Band music.
Yeah.
But I think the tall tale signs is when your genre, when all the adjacent genres start, you know, bleeding your genre into it.
Yeah.
And so like right around that time, you remember you had the Adidas rock with like Fred Durst, and you know, you were getting
Linkin Park was
new
a big
metal,
one. Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? So they were putting a lot of, you know, rap into it, and then you know, eventually that's what people wanted to hear more of, was the rap than the rock part.
Yeah, bro. I mean? Like I remember when Fred Durst came out, you know, like, yeah, dude, the hot dog flavored water and shit, like that album was crazy, bro. Like at the time I was like in high school, and I remember my older brother, he had this 1991 gold Honda Prelude coupe, right? Yeah. And he had two Pioneer subwoofers in the trunk. They caught on fire once because we were listening to C Murda. Like he was just bumping it so hard, because like you listen to the Tank stuff, you know, and it just had the sub in it. Every mix had the, and like the subs would just go crazy in the trunk, and they lit on fire because I think he was like, he did some sort of thing with the wires like an idiot. He didn't know what he's doing, but yeah, we loved that because the whole trunk would rattle. Yeah. And I remember like when that record came out, that that Limp Bizkit record,
Mm-hmm.
and we just like fucking listened to it over and over again.
But yeah, just remember that time, because that while we had Limp Bizkit, we had Eminem, and Eminem was probably one of the biggest stars of that generation.
Yeah. Hi, my name is
Yeah.
what? My name is that was like the big one.
Yeah.
And he was talking all this shit, and people were like, "What is this like baby talking rapper?"
I must have been in like 6th, 7th grade. I remember hearing all
dude.
this music. Yeah,
I was in high school.
young,
I loved
yeah.
it. It was crazy. It was a wild time.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like that's when I would just like flip between like MTV, VH1, MTV2, Much Music. You know, I'd just be like watching music videos all day long, like, you know, just soaking it in. Like, what's the best music video? Because it was crazy back then. That's how you absorbed music. It was a lot of music videos because, like, let's face it, you go to the record store and you buy a CD, which was like $16.99 to $20, you know, and you only like 2 or 3 songs off the record.
Yeah.
If it was good, you know what I'm saying? And you're buying like, you know, there's like 16, 20 songs on it, 12 songs on it, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember just like music videos were where it was at. Like you would just watch music videos.
There was a lot of money in it back then. That's what I'm saying. Those music videos were like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Massive.
Those are like Hollywood budget music videos. It's like,
they were crazy.
yeah.
That like the Eminem one where like the Batman and Robin one, you know, where it was like him and Dr. Dre.
I
That shit
love
was
those
crazy.
times. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It sucks because, you know, back then it was commercialized, but everything was big. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
facts.
DMX would do arena tours. You know what I mean?
Dude, DMX, dude.
You know,
Smoking, taking a nice glass hit out of some crack pipe and then fucking rocking a stage.
Yeah.
DMX. Dude, I loved his music videos too.
I know.
The ones like just rolling like with the motorcycles and the 4-wheelers and the 3-wheelers in the streets, pulling the wheelies, you know, like, dude, that shit was so tight.
But let's talk about why that was so tight.
Dude, that was like a Michael Bay movie, bro.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They had all these
X gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
That shit was
all
so
these
hard.
and all these artists, like even Tupac was in movies, DMX was in movies,
Yeah,
you
facts,
know what I mean?
facts.
So
Yeah.
like the culture was like, you know, heavy. And I think at that time, and you know, if we're comparing, you know, back then to now, why we love it so much back then is because, especially with artists and stuff, people strive to be so different. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And,
I think it
have
was also
identity,
accessibility.
You know? Yeah,
Right. Like back then, it was like that wasn't accessible to us. Like going to this multi-million-dollar studio with Dr. Dre and like, you know, like this celebrity, like, dude, making a music video like that. You couldn't just like, oh, I'm gonna hit AI and just have it generate some fucking, you know, like they were really like green screening it and like visual effects, like spending a ton of money, outfits, costume design, set designers.
it was making a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so that's the you know, the difference of today. So like now today, where every hip hop video is like a guy with the DSLR shaking the thing up and down. You know,
just
what I mean?
like rapping at the
Because
camera.
that's what they can afford. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
facts.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, even like, dude, I don't even think, you know, making a music video right now is something that I would even recommend to an artist.
Yeah.
Unless the song earns a music video. Like, meaning the song's got to do so well naturally and organically from like, you know, just promoting it, making content around it, like TikToks, Instagram, YouTube, shorts, etc., to the point where like people really go, man, this song is dope. I love this. And it starts trending. And, you know, like then you make a music video once it's like breaking millions of streams by you running like Facebook ads with, you know, $1,000 budget. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to get proof behind it before you even think about dropping what, $1,500 on a music video.
Ah, bro, you just throw out a video, and if you're lit enough, you know what I mean, they're gonna love it. So
facts.
you know, like fuck a marketing plan,
Bro, fuck it.
put
Just-
it all,
just drop it.
you know,
You guys better just love my music.
get a rental, fucking Lamborghini. You know,
It's all about the music. No, but you know, like here's the thing. Like artists nowadays, they go through what I call like the sophomore kind of like artistic. We all go through it, by the way. It's like it's this thing where like at the beginning you're like, yeah, I'm all in, bro. I'm gonna try my hardest. I'm gonna make good content. I'm gonna promote. I'm gonna put budgets behind stuff. I'm gonna really do this thing. I'm gonna get some photo shoots done. I'm gonna really do this thing. And then you put out like 3-4 songs, right? And you're like, why am I not blowing up? Why is it not great? Yeah. And then you go to this thing where you're like, well, fuck them. Fuck everybody. And then you just like start like, I'm just going to put out music. I'm not even going to tell people that it's coming out. They should just want my music. It's this ego thing, bro. It's an ego thing with music and artists. And we all do it because we're like, we created something that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Why can't people see that? Why don't they understand that? But the truth is, like, it's the marketplace that's looking at you, and your value in the marketplace is just not high. Like, nobody knows you. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares about your music. Nobody's listening to your music. So you got to show us. You got to show us over and over and over. You got to prove to us that you can do something insanely dope and you can keep it up.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Like, who's going to buy into something that, like, oh, I opened up a coffee shop, bro. We got the best coffee in the world.
There's coffee on every corner.
Every coffee shop says that, right? Best coffee in best burger in LA.
Yeah.
Best burger in the world. Voted best burger. Fuck off, right? So that's how musicians do it. And then they're like, they stop showing up. They stop opening their doors on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then they stop showing up on the weekends. And then they stop posting, right? That's the same thing as like closing your store doors. And then just like thinking that like you just got it and you're just dope and like people should just like the music for the music. It's like, bro, what?
Well, I think you were talking accessibility because back in the day, not everyone could release music. And so
facts.
Everyone can release music now. Like,
bro, and
your
good,
grandma
and
put
good
out
music. And good music. Yeah, so
Go to
we're
Guitar
almost
Center.
numb to it.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened with hip-hop.
There's too much circulation of music. And so that, like, in fact, like, everybody was kind of doing rap music for a while.
Yeah.
You know?
Because it was easy.
Yeah. So
it was like you could literally go to BeatStars, grab a beat, and like take your phone, bro, like your iPhone.
Yeah.
And be like, yo, I got bars. I go real hard. I'm bumping in my cars. Like, dude, you hear people rapping and you're like, this is the most generic shit ever. And it's all the same shit. Yo, I got money. My jewelry is blinging. My shit is crazy, you know? And you're like, everybody is saying the same thing. Everyone's rapping the same way. Everyone's making the same beats.
Well, that's the problem. That's why the genre is dead, because
it's a commodity. It becomes a commodity.
Yeah, it's too easy. You know, it's all the things we used to talk about on the podcast, like microwave music. It's like, you know,
there's high fructose corn syrup, bro.
Yeah,
right away.
So
you're like, nobody cares about it.
And like you said, the accessibility is the hardest part. So like what hip hop is and what is based in is basically spoken word poetry. Yeah. So like anybody can really write poetry, and it, like I said, singing it takes like, you know, building a muscle in your, you know.
Yeah.
So like singing, like, and I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm just saying there's a little bit more of a barrier to entry.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I mean, you know, good rappers, bro, like, and good poets.
Yeah.
It's about cadence. It's about timing and rhythm and pocket.
Yeah.
And feel and saying something in a way that you've never heard before, you know? Like, and I think that goes with good singers as well and good songwriters, you know?
Yeah. I'm just, there's, you know, I'm not taking away from any rapper. I'm more so just saying that there's a little bit more barrier to entry for singing, because I think with rapping, you can, of course, all these things matter, like I said, but I think you know, to hit, you know, what we would consider as normal is not as hard as it is, you know what I mean, to become like a normal, like, acceptable singer.
Yeah.
Because singing, I mean, even with autotune, we can still tell you suck, you know.
Yeah, because it's like it's performance, it's like the feel and the emotion behind.
It's all those things that you listed for rap, but then also put on like melody and then, you know, all the other aspects of.
Yeah, because with singing, you're adding like note transition, right? Like bending, like from note to note.
Yeah.
And the way you do that, you're adding pitch, you're adding intonation, you're adding so many things. Yeah, so many things. It's like, it's so much. And is your voice interesting or unique? You know, I think about that a lot with rappers.
Yeah.
And any artist. Like, I'm like, is your voice unique and interesting in a cool way? Not in a way that's just like different. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm doing something different. Look at me. And you're like, that's just kind of corny and cheesy and like, you sound silly. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you doing something dope that's like fresh? Like that feels fresh. And you can kind of like hint to, you know, the best of the best. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone came out and they're doing like Prince, but like 2025 Prince, and it's fresh and it's got a vibe to it. That's way different than just like doing Prince.
Well, let's keep it real. So the problem with rap is that when you say when it's fresh in 2025, what rap sounds like in 2025 sounds like what it sounded like in 2018. You know what I mean?
It's true.
Or you might even make an argument for 2016, but like that's what I'm saying. It hasn't.
Amigos. It never went anywhere.
It hasn't like really graduated to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
I mean, even like the guys and the girls that like really made it dope and made their own sound in hip hop and pushed things forward, pushed the envelope, like the Kanye West and stuff. It's like even them, they're like, we're bored of this shit. They're like, we're going to do more rock. We're going to do more punk. We're going to do more, like we're going to do more avant-garde shit because like we're just so bored of this like it
doesn't have to be the flow though. It could be the tone because like
it could be
like,
everything. Yeah,
right. Like Exhibit worked really hard to make his tone like
yeah.
When you heard Exhibit, you're like, or DMX, you're like, damn, those are those guys like
Facts.
Their voice.
Very unique.
Just like a voice actor, you know what I mean? Has like a very specific brand and tone, you know what I mean? So
I mean, dude, back in the days, like as I remember, it would be like if you were copying someone, like it was a big deal. It was a big deal.
Yeah,
it would be like, dude, you're style biting. That's so corny. Like you sound just like so and so. And now it's like totally acceptable. Like I want to sound exactly like Drake, or I want to sound exactly like whoever's fresh right now.
Yeah,
and it's like, why? Sound like you, dude. Like try to sound like you in your own way, and then have people try to style by you.
I mean, the audiences accepted it just the same way that they accept Amazon Basics. You know what I mean?
Yeah, facts.
They're not like, oh, well, Duracell is so different from Energizer. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the problem though. Like that's kind of the downfall of art.
Yeah. Right.
Like if you start to keep going digressing this idea, you go from like this brand and this idea and this thing, right? This idea that is super unique and super interesting. This Leonardo da Vinci painting and the style and the way that it's done and the strokes and everything, the palette. Like when you start to copy, and then people just go like, oh yeah, well it's easy to do. It's easy to copy. So like I can't tell the difference. Most people can't tell the difference. So then it's like, so that who cares? So now AI. So fucking who cares? Right? So nobody cares. But like that's where I think people get it all fucked up because nowadays it's not that nobody cares. It's that the ideas and the culture around it has shifted.
Yeah.
It's shifted. Like now we have to think like, why do I want to listen to that song from that artist or those people? Well, maybe it's because I like that person and I'm interested more in everything that they're doing and their style and their ideas, and they're coming up with new and different stuff all the time. And I want to see what's going to happen with them. And I want to follow what's going on because they think differently, right? And now that's like a brand. Now you've solidified yourself as somebody that's a creator, that is a leader, that moves things forward, right? That doesn't just copy, that doesn't just, oh, now I can do it with AI, so it's easier, you know? People get lazy in art. They get lazy in manufacturing. They get lazy in their jobs at being a server at a restaurant. We get lazy. Humans are lazy by nature. And so we grab onto the easiest thing.
You know, how do you get the results fastest? It's not
facts,
but working the hardest. But
yeah, it's like, how do I get there? How do I get it quick? And I don't want to work hard for it. And then when people do that, they don't realize what they're doing is they're getting something that is going to not give them any payoff. You know, we get dopamine, we get serotonin, we get these feelings of like accomplishment when we do something that's hard. If we just hit a button to make an AI track, we're going to feel empty and we're going to feel like we're not making anything.
Well, also too,
we're not creating.
That's the part of the commoditizing it is that those records that, you know, a lot of these artists were making, they're doing in 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Like, oh, we cut 100 records last night in an hour. It's like, that's not a brag, bro.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. If you can do that in 30 minutes, so can so many other people, which means it brings down the overall value of the genre.
Yeah.
But I think what you're kind of alluding to, just, you know, hearing you talk about it is like what another big thing that we're missing, and this goes for every genre, but I think hip hop is where we really need it, is the superstar artists. Yeah. So when you're talking brand and you're talking people that we care about the other things that they're doing and, you know, all these things, it's just like, we don't have superstar artists when we're talking DMX and Eminem and all these are like mega stars.
And pop has that, like Chappelle Roan and stuff. Like they have, Chappell Roan, right? They have these the Chappelle Show Roan. Yeah. But you know, like they have these artists that are doing that. And they're pushing the envelope and they're doing different arrangements. They're not just the, you know, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus out. You know, like they're not doing that. They're doing different shit. And it's becoming like that in pop music, which is really interesting because like
pop's always had superstars, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I would have never said like Chappelle Roan is like a pop I would never say that she's a pop star.
Well,
I would have said like, oh, that's indie pop. That's like
indie pop
stuff.
Is the mainstay. Like
right, which is interesting.
Yeah,
though, right?
I mean, like even Taylor Swift is doing indie pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I feel like with hip hop, like it's now going into more musical areas. It's not just rapping. It's not. It's a lot of like. It's a lot of singing and stuff, you know, going on. R&B.
I mean, if you want to get to the technicals, like basically we've kind of gotten so used to the same 5 songs being made that like the innovation has been small. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like when you hit critical mass, like innovation basically, and this, you could apply this to everything, you know,
Facts.
This is all technical stuff.
Computing.
But, yeah. But I think what's kind of happened is the average listener has gotten sick of just straight rapping, at least for male artists. You know what I mean? Duh. Like there's few people that can do it that we're gonna buy. Like, you know, we could say like who are some of the people like Kendrick. You know, we're gonna listen to them straight rap with no melody, even though Kendrick uses melody. J. Cole.
Yeah, but even Kendrick, the only reason, I think the biggest reason why he's even like relevant right now is because of all the diss shit. It's because we as people.
I think that's taken too much away. I think he's one of our generational talents in rap. So,
sure, but
I don't think.
But okay, take away the diss and the drama and the human need for that. Yeah. Take that out of there. And what do you got? You got a rapidy rapper. And people would be like, yo, that guy's dope. And the underground would be that guy's dope. But he's gotten so big in the mainstream because he went against the Titans. Yeah. And he went against the Drake, and there was so much drama around it. You know what I'm saying? Like, drama sells, bro. Like,
but that's
sex
been a
sells,
mainstay.
drama sells. Like, people want that, bro.
That's a hip-hop thing forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Jay-Z and Nas did it, and Tupac and Biggie did it. You know
exactly.
What I mean? That's what
and you're talking,
made the genre,
you're talking about those those artists at that time were the biggest in the world. Right now, if they came around and they were doing that same thing right now, I don't think it'd be a big deal. But I think it was a big deal that Kendrick took on the top guy, the guy that was in pop. Like, Drake is a pop artist, bro. Like, you're a rapper and you went in and you said, hey, I'm going to call you out. You know what I'm saying? And then it became a big dramatic thing. It was overblown. In my eyes, dude, in my perspective, I was like...
I think it was great, though. I think it was great for the genre.
It's great. It's great for the culture, the genre, everything. For music industry, for everything. For the for Los Angeles. Like, bro,
it was great for Universal.
Bro, like I live up here, like you go up into the hills here and like you would hear like houses just having house parties with that song just going crazy.
Not like us, but never stopped
dude,
playing.
It never stopped. It was everywhere because this is Los Angeles, bro. And so I get it. I get the culture around it. I get what that is.
It's actually part of the genre. I'd say it's actually one of the main things that other genres don't have is like, pop stars beef, but no one, like, they're not doing it in a musical form. You know what I mean?
I think that that's why it worked for him though. And why it was successful is he's going against a guy that's not a battle rapper. That's not that way.
I think Drake wants to be, you know, he hangs out with all the battle rappers and stuff, you know, like Daylight and stuff. So
yeah, like, but I think that's why it worked.
That's why he was able to get Drake.
That's why it worked because he got his GOAT, bro. Like, that was the whole thing about like growing up in hip hop. And I grew up in hip hop. Like, I grew up in 90s, 2000, early 2000s hip hop, you know? And growing up in that is like, that's what it's about. If I get your GOAT, bro, and you are like, you start coming after me. I mean, I grew up with 2 brothers, you know, just 3 boys, you know, that's what we were, just a bunch of dudes. And it was like, if I get you, I say something to you and I get you, I fucking won, bro. Like, if you're all butthurt about it and you're trying to get back at me, like, I win every time, dude. Yeah. So like, that's the biggest thing about hip hop and battle rapping and like getting into that whole thing. I mean, I remember the whole Ja Rule and 50 Cent thing.
Yeah, it's huge.
That was huge. And it was like...
That was real gangster rap beefs back in the day, too.
But, dude, it was hilarious because it's like Ja Rule was like making these like sexy songs, romance songs and R&B songs. And like, he should have never jumped into that. And that's exactly...
I think
it's
that
like history
beef
repeating
predated
itself.
Their actual careers, which is crazy to think about. So
facts. But look that's what I'm trying to tell you. Is like, that's the whole Kendrick Lamar versus Drake thing. It was Ja Rule was doing his R&B thing, his sexy things, you know. I forget the big song. I have it in my head right now, the melody, but I'm not going to sing it. But like, that was the big one, right? Like, he was like, 50 Cent's going to battle him. And then he jumped on it. He started acting all hard. He was like, "Yeah, man, I'm Ja Rule. You know, I'm gonna battle you back. You pussy."
Ja Rule was always rapping though. He
was not. Yeah. He was not successful.
No, his biggest songs were definitely the more melodic ones for sure.
And what about Drake?
Yeah.
His biggest songs were they battle rap songs?
I'm not saying the comparison is not valid. I'm just more so saying that basically like it's just part of the genre, and I think that's why the genre's been so successful, because there's so many unique elements to hip hop that you couldn't draw.
Yeah, but you can't do the Drake, the Ja Rule. You can't go and make a career in R&B and pop and sexy girly songs, and then try and jump back into I'm gonna battle rap Kendrick Lamar. I'm gonna battle rap 50 Cent. I'm gonna battle rap. This wasn't Jay-Z.
Drake's first battle. He got beaten by what's his name?
That's my point though.
Why am I forgetting? What was the battle before Drake? Sorry, what was the battle before Kendrick? It was with guy from the Clips.
Oh yeah. See, I remember that, but that's not the
story
same.
added on. Remember, he revealed his son.
Though, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying though, Drake has this wasn't the first time Drake's jumped into a battle. He battled Meek Mill. Like I said, it's been
the Meek Mill thing. That was that was a big deal.
That's what I'm saying. He's got a history of doing this. So, I think it. Like I said, I wasn't surprised that Drake would do it or would continue to do it. Like I said, it's been part of his career already.
Facts.
So,
but yeah, dude, let's wrap up the rapping. We got a lot of different subjects to talk about today.
Yeah.
I want to get into some other stuff because, I could talk about rap, hip hop music, battle rapping all day long. I could do that. Like, dude, I feel like that's a big part of just being in music, really, right?
Yeah.
Like in music, it's about ego. Like, let's be real. Like, I think Mozart and Beethoven, they're probably like, yo, let's fucking battle, bro. Like, if they had the chance.
Yeah.
If it was modern times, like those two, if they were around at the same time doing the same shit, they would have been battling.
Yeah.
Who you think would have won that one?
The Migos. The Migos are better than Mozart.
I mean, shit. Good point. Good point. I would have went with Mozart, but I'm just saying.
No, I don't know. I think so. Like when we're like looking at the things that are changing, because like I said, this whole podcast is about the change.
Yeah, and and dude, honestly, it's about the music. Let's be real, but everything in music is not what it used to be. Right?
Yeah,
it's not just like, oh, nowadays you can be in a music career and you can like, be super successful in music by just being talented and being great at guitar, and you can write songs like. That's like the beginning start of it, like that's your foundation. Sure. Like you're really talented singer, songwriter, etc.
Yeah.
But like, then what else you got?
You gotta get on your fucking social media game.
Your branding, you gotta connect with people. You gotta talk to people. You gotta be out there. People have to know who you are, because you're going up against like millions and millions of songs being uploaded every year. And now you're battling AI, like you're battling everything. So it's like
algorithms.
Yeah, the attention. The normal person is like, they don't have enough time to listen to all the music. Like, you even see like New Music Friday. It's like, dude, I don't have time to listen to that.
I don't think anybody does. I think most of, and if we're bouncing off of this hip hop thing, like. I think part of the problem right now in the music industry is that most of the discovery is happening through TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So TikTok is the new radio. That's where most of people are discovering music. People aren't going to Pandora and discovering music anymore. They're not going to Spotify and listening to playlists. They're not listening to Rap Caviar, in masses at least. You know what I mean? That, like, yes, those are still popular playlists. I'm just saying that, like, the discovery is happening on platforms like TikTok. And I think another interesting part of 2025 is that TikTok is getting banned, and next week, right? Next week.
That's pretty wild, actually. Yeah. Well, I think it's like the 19th or something. The 19th.
I think that's Sunday. Is that Sunday?
Yeah, it's like in 8 days. It's the 11th.
Oh, okay.
11th today.
Okay. So then, maybe
little over a week.
Little, yeah.
I mean, that's crazy though. So that the big thing about this, right, is that people are trying to figure out a way around it. Like, I'm not even saying like people as in like the Supreme Court or anything like that, or presidents. Like, nobody can do anything about it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So,
Like straight up. But people, I'm saying like the people that use TikTok in the US.
yeah, there's a lot of opinions out there on it. So
no, they're like trying to get around it. They're like, oh, let's VPN bounce. Let's figure out a way to like
well,
sign
they were saying
in
people were going to buy it. The last I heard is that was it the guy from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful? Was gonna buy
Right.
it?
So
Yeah.
so if somebody buys it and is a share like a majority owner is US based, then it has a chance of surviving. But dude, that's not going to happen in 8 days.
Yeah.
You know, so
I mean, this has been. I feel like me and you talked about it like even last year because this has been on the agenda for so long.
Facts. I mean,
So,
it came and went, came and went. Yeah, it kept doing that. But now it's like serious, and I think it's hard to say what is going to happen with the music industry behind that and independent artists and all that, right?
Yeah.
But I will say this. I will say it's a discovery platform. It is not a paying platform. So no matter what you do with it, you have to drive traffic somewhere else to actually get paid. So for example, like you're not
TikTok Live actually pays quite a bit though.
Sure, but like
from all the influencers.
But that's like a different. I would say that's almost like a different revenue stream than like music, right? Like your music, you want people to go listen to it so you can get paid royalties from streaming.
Yeah.
Or you get sync licensing opportunities, or you get people eyes and ears on it, right? Like you build fans from it, etc. We even know like TikTok music doesn't even really build solid fans. No. Like the data is really clear on that. And so like you have these people that like, you know, only know this much of the song and they go to the show and then they leave. They're not really fans. They're just fans of that song or that clip of that song. And so the big thing about TikTok is it's kind of like putting your commercial on primetime television.
Yeah.
And then like, are people gonna go and buy it? You know, buy the product? Yeah. Your commercial wasn't good enough. You know what I'm saying? So like the only way you really know that it's working is if you're getting direct streams from your Spotify, Apple Music, etc. Because that song did really well on TikTok.
Yeah.
Now that being said, like TikTok pays
out. Yeah, it does
worst,
technically
like
pay
one of the
out.
worst.
Yeah,
one of the worst. So the biggest thing about royalties on TikTok is you can have a video. It pays per video, not per stream on the video. Yeah, so it's really kind of fucked. It's a usage of the song. So you get a video that goes 10 million, it goes crazy viral, right? With your song on it, you get paid for like one usage of your song on that 10 million. So like that's why TikTok is just kind of a scam. I'll be honest, and it gets people sucked into it.
Let me get your position on this ban then, because are you for or are you against the ban?
I'm not for the ban at all. I'm very against it, and the biggest reason being because I think it's all bullshit. Right? So like here's the big thing. Okay. So when you talk about banning a social media platform because it's Chinese, it's Russian, it's whatever, right? It's our enemy's platform, right? It's owned by our enemy. So what they're doing is this is what it's going to court for. They're analyzing search terms. They're not analyzing how the platform actually works.
Yeah, the CCP stuff, right?
Yeah, so they're not analyzing the For You page, which is how the platform works. If I go on my TikTok and I go to my For You page, that's where I'm going to see my music, the people that I follow for music, musicians, creators that are making music and showing different, plugins and keyboards, etc. I want to see that talent, and that's what I'm looking at. And that's what it learns. It learns that, and then it gives you more of that on the For You page. It's not giving me what I don't already want and what I'm not already seeing. That's why every social media platform tried to copy and is still trying to copy their algorithm.
I think they successfully, or maybe the algorithm. I was about to say their feature set has been copied.
Yeah, but the algorithm has not.
Yeah.
If you go on Instagram Reels and you start like scrolling and like looking through Reels, it's not going to give you most of the stuff you see on it. You're like, why the fuck is this showing me this?
I don't know how any of these algorithms work anymore on any of these platforms.
Instagram story, like their story algorithm is pretty good. But that's because there's a lot of ads that are served in the stories. Yeah. So like the ad platform on Meta is really good. Like it, because like, dude, if you like
good
this,
for who?
It's good for the advertisers.
Yeah.
For sure. But it's also like, it's locked into what you like. If you watch a video,
it knows,
like if you just stop on an ad and you watch it, like you watch it for 3 seconds or more, like you really watch it, it will serve you so much more of that kind of shit.
Zucks is the grand data collector. He's got it down to a science.
Crushing it. Right. So I don't like the ban because the band. I don't like the ban because they're banning it off of these pretenses that have nothing to do with how the platform actually works.
Yeah.
They're like searching stuff and then going, yeah, see, look, this is what they're feeding Americans. It's all propaganda to make Americans think that China is like this great place. Or
yeah.
whatever.
So, but I mean,
it's like, are we not doing that with everything? Like we do the same goddamn thing.
Yeah. But I think if you look at what China's doing to American stuff, they're banning the fuck out of it. So, but what I was going to say though is, so what I think, because I'm going to play devil's advocate for the sake of this podcast, just so we're not just agreeing and, you know what I mean? But what, I think what they're looking at though, you know, what the evidence that they're using and providing to actually, you know, go through with the ban is, I could probably agree with that. It's pretty much dog shit.
Yeah, it's dog shit. They're pulling shit up that they want to see.
But I think more so the idea behind the ban is that that they're basically collecting and able to manipulate the population at a large just through, because the internet is so prevalent in just about everybody's single life, and the amount of attention that they have on that particular app, I think it's probably the most usage out of especially in a certain age range, which is what they're talking about.
Right. So if we're gonna do that, we have to change the whole system of how social media works. So right now, there are actual bills in play for social media platforms that basically say that they can, under the fact that they're privately owned businesses, that they can do whatever they want with how they censor stuff, with what they show you and when they show you it and why they show you it and where you're located, geofencing, all this stuff. They can do whatever the fuck they want because they're a private company.
Yeah.
So I'm Meta, I'm private. So guess what? Half the world, like over 4 billion people, use that app every month.
Yeah.
Right. And I just watched some of the podcasts, the Joe Rogan podcast, where Zuck was on it.
Yeah.
And he was talking about like daily over 3 billion people are using those platforms. So we're talking Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So they're also under, and I forget what it's called. It's like a section. It's like a clause in the bill for social media platforms in the US that says that they're privately owned. So they can censor, they can show what they want to show. You get what I'm saying? So like, okay, so how's that any better than another company doing the same thing?
You want to know? And this kind of goes back because we do have information. The US government has a lot of control over what's being shown directly on Facebook and Instagram and stuff.
Of course.
Where they have less control over TikTok. And we know this because of the Twitter files and what happened, you know, with
of course.
X, so, where they talked about all the backdoors that the US government had, particularly with Twitter. But I think, and you know, the amount of times that you've seen Zuckerberg in front of Congress, I think there's some sort of, you know, understanding there. So
no, I don't think that that's what that is. I think the fact that he's been in front of Congress that many times just shows you that at least in the United States of America, we get a chance at a trial.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We get a chance to actually argue.
They had TikTok on trial. They've had TikTok on trial for
but why? Yeah. Why? They're a Chinese company. Why do they have any jurisdiction? I don't understand that. So if you want to ban the company, you ban the company.
Oh, I'm off. Just so you know,
saying, though, like
my position is free internet. So I think the fact that the government has any hand in the internet is kind of a scary thing, to be honest. But,
facts. And look, dude, I'm not like. Here's the funny thing. The funny thing is that people will automatically assume that you either are left or right or whatever, right? Like they'll constantly do that because that's just what humans do. We constantly want to categorize things, right? We're like, oh, if you believe that, then you're definitely a leftist. If you believe that, you're definitely a right-wing Republican, you know? Like, they do that because people are fucking stupid, right?
Yeah.
The IQ in the world is so low, it's fucking insane.
Yeah. Like,
if people took an IQ test, they'd be like, oh my God, we have, like, a lot of mentally not there people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm under the conclusion in my head, I'm thinking to myself going, okay, so who cares what happens? What matters is that everyone gets a trial. They all get to argue their opinion.
They've had a trial.
Right. Yeah. And then
they've argued their opinions too.
Yeah. And then
you could make that argument that's been going on.
Right. But it's not based on evidence of how the platform works. That's what my whole point is.
Trust me, I think we're more in agreement.
If you keep on arguing that the floor is gray, right? You're like, the floor is gray. And you're like, well, that's not what we're even talking about, right? They're like, yeah, but it doesn't matter because the floor is gray. And you're like, yeah, but the conversation we're having is whether it's linoleum or vinyl, and vinyl is the problem because it has these chemicals in it that cause cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's gray.
I'm more so just trying to tell you what the government wants, and they want American ownership in that company.
Of course they do.
And
they
like
want
I said,
control,
the
so
way
they can control the narrative.
the way they're doing it is, they're using, these,
it's simple, dude.
These
it's
arguments
simple.
and these things to, but they want American interest in that company because of the amount of attention and the amount of data it collects.
Facts.
Especially, you know what I mean, and I think the argument they're making for the most part is the youth, because it is probably the number one youth platform, I'd say.
Oh yeah. The youth.
I think Meta is bigger, right, by all metrics on Instagram and Facebook.
But you're right. Yeah. You're right. The user base definitely sways younger on TikTok.
So I like I said, I'm for a free internet, but at the same time, I see what they're trying to do, and they have a bullshit argument, but at the same time, I don't think they care what their argument is. I think they only care about the result, and they're getting the result. So,
yeah. I think a big part of it is if you have someone else, and I get both sides of the argument, right? Mm-hmm. It's like if you have a country that is communist and doesn't even it doesn't align with how we do things at all, right?
Yeah.
And it's a communist country that has so many people on it from our nation that is now being swayed by that. And the scary part for them, national security would be that what if they're collecting data like we do as American companies? You know what I'm saying? So now they have so much data on our youth. Wow, we want that data. We need that data on our youth. But if they have it, they can use it against us, right? Because that's really the major concern.
Yeah, it's a control thing.
Yeah, it's a national security thing, right?
That's the argument they're making, which is I get it, trust me, but
then where do you draw the line of what's freedom and what's not? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
are you free to go to China?
In what sense?
Can you eat Chinese food? Can you speak Chinese? You know what I'm saying? Can you understand their culture? Can you research it? Can you study it? Can you travel to China? Can you go there? Yeah, of course you can. I have friends that have lived there for years, literally. So where do we make this division? It's because it's on the internet and people are so stupid. People can buy a plane ticket and go to China, and you can stay there for, I think, probably the same amount of time that you can stay here as someone that's traveling. It's 6 months before getting your passport stamped. That's most countries.
Yeah.
Right? That's freedom. So why can't we use a Chinese... we buy shit from Temu. Is that a threat? Are they putting chemicals in the shit that we buy from Temu? Is it a threat? You know what I'm saying? What is the problem?
I don't know their analysis because, like I said, I'm not.
But you get what I'm saying.
They've clearly made an analysis that they need to get.
So if this is the scary part to me. Okay, here's what I'm trying to get at. If the American government or any government is so threatened by a social media platform that's collecting data on people, whoever it is, it doesn't matter. You're American, you're Brazilian, you're Chinese. I don't give a fuck who you are. They're so threatened by that, the fact that people are on that platform and their data is getting collected from the Chinese government. So that tells you that that's such a powerful thing. And they're doing it to us right now. They're hearing this conversation, I'm sure, right? Everything is tracked in the US. Everything we do, we go on Google, you go on anything, everything's tracked.
Your phone is listening to you even when you don't know it's listening to you. The camera's on when you don't know the camera's on.
Exactly.
These are all public information things.
Yeah, and it's all on servers, they have massive servers everywhere collecting data.
The LiDAR data is being collected and knows who you're in the room with and knows that me and you are in the room together. So
that's the scary part to me, and that's what I'm trying to get at is they're so worried about that and concerned about that and that data and that stuff getting in the hands of the Chinese government or the Russian government or whoever else, that's our enemy, fuck, man. why are they allowed to collect all this data on anybody?
I think because
like we all use the phone every day.
You know what I mean? I mean, this goes in the deeper topic of the privacy thing. You know what I mean? And
yeah, it's crazy.
Or like pretty much.
Yeah, doesn't our Apple iPhone like tell us like in every commercial that we're like so protected? It's the most private. You know, your privacy is completely protected with the iPhone. It's the most Apple blah blah blah.
Every single measure of what these things have like 6 or 7 different measuring devices from GPS to lidar to.
Oh, it's fucking crazy.
Like I said, it's measuring
exactly
everything.
where you're at. Yeah,
it knows
literally.
All that data
you can put your finger on the thing and it'll take your pulse.
Yeah.
With an app, you know what I'm saying? Like that, yeah, the technology is getting so insanely good that like there's a point where like where do we stop trusting anybody, including our government, Like what's the point? Like why do we give so much power and control to governments and agencies? Like we're humans, like we vote with our dollars, right? And if we buy something and it says, this is private, right? This is private. This is your phone. Yeah. And it's got all these privacy things, right? That's what we're doing. We're paying $1,200 for that, right? But then they're like, oh, no, that's out. Like you're on Facebook now. You're on Instagram. Oh, no, we're tracking everything. Like, no, you don't have any protection.
Yeah, I mean,
Patriot Act, bro. No, it's not a big deal. Like,
they're putting blocks in it. Like, I think Apple's, increased privacy over the years quite a bit. And, so, like, remember when you were uploading, photos to Instagram or TikTok? Like, now you can have it manage what you can allow these apps to see. Like, things like there's safeguards now that they're putting in and stuff like that. So, like, that didn't exist until, almost, like, a year ago.
Yeah,
so.
this shit needs to be, like, voted in. But here's the problem is that those votes and those bills and shit get passed by House of Representatives. They're not passed by us.
Yeah.
They're passed by the people that we vote into the House, and the Senate. And it's like, dude, it's like, really, do we have any say on any of that? Not really, dude. It's all private interest. So at a certain point, we're so disconnected from the decision making that all we are doing is funding it.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you your tax dollars. And then, so the only thing we can really do, like, and I'm talking about this like from like the perspective of an actual musician and a working person, being an entrepreneur, having your own business, right? The only thing we can actually do is vote for people that have good tax agendas, right? Like people that are like, we want to take tax down. We want to take tax down. We do not want to keep taking more and more of American working people's money. And businesses, like small businesses, bro, like we suffer so hard.
Yeah.
People take our money. They keep taking our money. And then they decide what they're going to do with the money.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, oh, we want to ban TikTok. We want to go on these fucking extravagant, data collection journeys and trials and stuff. And it's all going to be paid for out of the pockets of you.
I actually,
who do you think pays for those salaries, bro? Like those are all salaries paid for by taxpayer dollars.
My position, honestly, is I think TikTok being banned is going to be a net positive for the music industry.
Yeah, I mean,
so,
dude,
I'm just looking at it from that perspective.
It's going to drive everything to the other social media platforms. Yeah. Here's what's going to happen, and it happened already in, I think it was India, right? Was it India or I think it was India that banned TikTok, and then everybody started using Instagram more. So like you see people on Instagram, like these Indian influencers and musicians and stuff that have like hundreds of millions of followers. Like, oh, I got 10.5 million people following me on my Instagram, right? Because like they don't have TikTok. So everyone's on Instagram there. You know what I'm saying? So like that's going to happen hard. So what I would do if I was a musician, and I am, and an artist, and I am hypothetically speaking, I would be just going hard on YouTube Shorts and Instagram.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing. Keep posting to TikTok. Why not? If you're gonna make something for Instagram or YouTube, like just put it on TikTok as well because it's still there. But
I think we've kind of hit peak social media, to be honest, just like how we hit peak hip hop sales.
I think so, because people have lost trust. They're not as like allured by it. It's also like, I think people are realizing that it's bad for you. Like it's bad for your health. Like being on social media all the time. Yeah. It's really not good for you.
So I think like we're actually trending the other way. I think TikTok, like I said, as much as it's fun to go down the well on TikTok. I think at the same time,
pretty easy to do.
For my day-to-day life, if I just like take this out of a vacuum, of course, like it's one last platform that I can put music to, that I can potentially build an audience from. So you could make an argument for a net negative, but I think in just my day-to-day life, I think not having TikTok will probably be a positive in my life. So
dude, amen, bro. Yeah. Like I'm tired of having to post to like you know what I'm saying? Like, oh dude, I gotta make a post, bro.
That's like just one more platform that you have to like consistently maintain. Where there's already enough, because we gotta be out there.
I'm good. Yeah, we make music, we make art, we make content, we make stuff happen. Like you don't want to have to do that in like 17 different places.
Yeah. So I mean, like I said, you could make the argument that it's bad because TikTok has been an amazing platform for people to create brand new careers.
Oh, I've connected with some amazing people on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Built up 42,000 followers on there.
Yeah,
and just like great people. Mm-hmm. And like the music community there, the audio engineering, music production, songwriting community there is really good. It's really solid. They're people that like actually care.
Yeah,
I can't say that about Instagram right now. I say Instagram is like, fire emoji. You know what I mean? TikTok is like, I really like this, but I'm wondering why you put the compressor before the saturation, and like, what was the thinking behind that? And that's the same thing with YouTube. So YouTube and TikTok, I think, are the most engaged platforms for musicians and professionals in music, and even hobbyists in music. People that are really wanting to learn, people that really want to connect. I think a big reason behind that is because Reels is 90 seconds long. Like it's still 90 seconds. Are you fucking kidding me? Right? That is a big, I think, flawed thing that Instagram does wrong. Like if I put a short form video up that's only 90 seconds long, and you want me to teach, do a tutorial, whatever, that's a fail. And then you got to put the compressor in, and you look like an idiot, and you're making this like blown out like advertisement kind of looking shit. On TikTok, you can be like, I'm going to do this thing for 2.5 minutes, and it's going to thoroughly explain this thing, and people appreciate it. Yeah. And then YouTube Shorts just made their shorts 3 minutes. So now we have these like platforms that are going, hey, we realize like you want to make short form content, but you don't want it to be so short that it just feels like an ad.
Yeah, I mean I think the problem with TikTok, I think for me, is that there's just been a lot of changes from TikTok. Like I think TikTok was amazing at the beginning. Yeah. And
it was short form content.
Yeah.
It was like Vine 2.0.
And so what you're talking about with like the reason why Instagram sucks, I agree with the 90-second limit. I think that's like kind of archaic. I agree. It's limiting as fuck. I think though the things that I hate about TikTok are the reasons why I'm happy switching more towards YouTube or X or Instagram.
Well, and YouTube actually pays their creators too.
Yeah, facts.
Like you're not gonna get that.
So I'd actually say that's probably my number one gripe with TikTok is probably the monetization on there. Although I heard that
it was good for a while. Yeah, like when I think when they first started, they were doing really well with that.
Yeah, they were paying people and stuff. And like I said, like I understand that lot because I think they want everybody to use TikTok Live. I think that's where they've been trying to push people to.
Look, like all these platforms go through the same fucking thing, right? They go through these cycles. Like TikTok went through the cycle where it was all TikTok Shop. You couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
It was like TikTok Shop. Everything's
it's still TikTok Shop.
Yeah, but bro, like it was unbearable.
That's why I hate it.
And now you're scrolling and you get the lives.
Have you seen the lives?
I don't even know who this person is. I don't care.
Like one of the biggest problems I have with the lives is that all these influencers are begging for money on the lives because you can gift on that. So it's just a bunch of begging people. You just scroll through people begging.
You got to buy this and you got to buy this because, dude, if you don't buy this, like I'm not going to be able to pay my rent.
No, because you can gift them just like on Twitch. You can basically give them subs. Yeah. They're literally begging for money. They're sitting there begging for money.
Yeah, it's like panhandling on the internet.
I know, on the internet. It's disgusting. So that's why I like, get the TikTok live stuff.
That's like a big thing though.
But that's why I'm saying people are like, oh, the lives, you can make so much money, but it's people begging for money. That's what I'm saying. It's like disgusting. So
yeah, I saw. You remember like when they were doing the like, chop chop. Like what the fuck was that shit?
That's still going on. That's
What's that called?
the certain things part of the internet I'd rather not know about. I'm sure there's a name for it.
We need the guy on the laptop like, hey Jerry. Hey Jerry. What's that called?
I'm turning 34 this year, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I can't
you're
keep
not
up
trying
with these
to,
young kids.
Facts. Yeah, dude.
But yeah. So yeah, the monetization is goofy as hell on TikTok.
Amen, dude. And then also here's another thing about TikTok monetization. You can't monetize a video unless it's over a minute long.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing too. Like I'll do something and I'm like, yo, I think this is a great piece of content. I'm not trying to monetize, by the way. That's not what I'm doing. I'm like trying to add actual value and like make connections on these platforms, because I've connected with some amazing people on the platforms, like musicians, artists, writers, guitar players, like getting guitar lessons from people like that that live down the street that I meet online, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where it starts. It is the new community. Like it's where, it's like going to the fucking movies, or not the movies. That's a bad example, but it's like going to like a public place, public square, and like meeting someone, and being like, hey man, maybe we should grab a drink sometime, or like, it'd be cool if we connected further. You know what I'm saying? Threads is good for that. Like Threads is amazing for local community.
I still haven't signed up for Threads, which is fun.
Bro, it's really good. Like you can literally be like, Los Angeles, blah, blah, blah. And like people in Los Angeles are going to see your post. You know what I mean? So I've connected with a lot of people. I've done meetups with people.
What's Trump's social media?
I don't know.
It's like freedom.
I have no fucking clue, bro. That's weird.
He has his own version of Twitter. That's because you're or Threads or whatever, which is hilarious.
That's so weird. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Like you're the president of the United States.
Truth Social. That's what it's called.
Yeah, gotcha.
But like Threads, it's so funny because Instagram is just known for copying everybody's.
Oh yeah.
They took Snapchat stories.
Oh yeah, Threads is
they
like
took Threads
X, right?
is basically taking Twitter, and then
it's X, Kevin.
It's X, yeah. It's so weird calling it that. They should have never changed that name. That was a terrible idea.
Dumb. Yeah. Elon's smart as fuck. I think he just did it to fuck with people, but at the same time, it's like,
I think it'll adopt the next generation. But I'm too damn old, I guess. Facts. You know what I mean?
I can't go on X anymore. It's just like everything's politicized. It's fucking crazy.
Oh
it's like the new one, Blue Sky, is it called?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not on the new social media.
Like,
I'm still old
it's
guy.
like the Democratic side of like X.
Oh, is
much.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. You'll see.
Really weird, bro. Like we're getting into really weird times. Like where everyone has to feel like, if you don't agree with me, then we're not friends. Like that's a weird
That's what I'm saying. I'm already like,
like I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you on a lot of things. Like doesn't mean I'm gonna be like, fuck you, Kev.
Yeah.
Dude, you like those Converse? Like slave labor and shit happens with Converse. And you're like, yeah, well, you're wearing Adidas, dumbass. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, fuck yeah, but no, I'm not gonna put up with that. You're a Converse guy. We're not friends. Like, dude, that's how people act now. It's fucking silly. Like, grow the fuck up. That's what I think. Like, I don't know. It's weird being a 41-year-old that like grew up in the 90s where like people were punching people and like, you get in a fight and then it's like, oh yeah, cool, we're friends. Like it's all good. I can't believe you punched me in the face that hard though. And then it's like nowadays, like, oh, you looked at me funny and you didn't do this thing that I think is proper, and I stand with this thing. If you don't do, fuck you and fuck everything about you, and I hope you die. It's like, dude, you guys got low IQs. It's getting really weird. It's getting obnoxious, and I think a lot of people just live too much online.
Yeah.
If you just get in front of real people and you have conversations with them, and maybe, just maybe, you got punched in the face once in your life, you might actually think like a normal human being.
Well, we're dinosaurs, dude. I'm telling you. Like, I remember the time before the internet.
We're prehistoric.
That's what I'm saying. when I tell,
like, if I don't like you, I'm gonna tell you, you're a fucking piece of shit.
I'm an old man because we work in music, and at least what I do in music as a producer, I'm with like 20-year-olds, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
and sometimes younger depending on, the artist and stuff. But like, what I'm saying is like, I remember before the internet, you know what I mean? Life was actually really sick.
I love
awesome.
Life
before the internet, you know what I mean?
We actually did shit.
Yeah, I know. You know what I mean? So
we went to the movie theater. It was awesome.
So it was cool. Like I said, before phones could do anything. Like I remember when phones used to suck. And texting was terrible. So you know what I mean?
Like we weren't getting any titty pictures from anyone.
I mean,
every day it's like it's downloading, and then it's like really bad quality, and you're like,
I remember when you're like, oh, you could have a camera in your phone. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah, exactly. Bro, you got a camera?
Damn, like, nah, I can't text you because that's gonna cost too much.
Facts.
You know?
But yeah, dude, let's talk about some tech though. You know, we got some new tech out. Obviously, like a lot of companies have come out with stuff, but I'm always keeping my pulse on the best stuff. Like this stuff I actually use, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like I don't use a lot of like new stuff. Like when it comes to music production and recording and making music. Like, I don't know. Do you? Are you like, oh, dude, I'm using this new stuff.
I'm usually
I got a
late.
new pedal board and I got a
late.
new.
Yeah.
Like no, you're like doing your thing. You got to get songs done.
Yeah.
You're like working with artists. You got to get a mix done. So you get shit done, right? You're not like, oh, I better experiment with this new thing.
Yeah, I'm still using the same plugins I used. I mean, I pick up new stuff from time to time. I won't lie, but yeah.
But you know, like those things surface, right? Like
I'm a working guy, so like
yeah. So they surface. Yeah, so it's like you
not
hear
broken,
it.
don't fix it. You know
You get into 4 or 5 different sessions, and by like the 5th session, you're like, dude, these people keep saying the same thing. You know, they're like, keep telling me about this gold clip thing. You know what I mean? I keep hearing about this thing. So that's kind of like how it is for you. For me personally, I'm on social media. You know, I'm pretty active there, and I'm in contact with a lot of different vendors and people that make this stuff, right? And I just like, I'm friends with them. But I'm also like very interested in that stuff. You remember like when we first met and you like taught me how to crack plugins?
Yes.
You remember that?
I don't crack plugins. He's lying, guys.
No,
that never happened.
He
and
did.
What he's
he
talking
showed
about,
me how to crack them. I had no idea how to do it. I was like the old guy, like I was like,
piracy is illegal. We do not condone piracy on this podcast.
I don't at all. But like you taught me how to crack plugins, and then I went crazy with it. And I remember
he's the crackhead.
I was a crackhead, bro. Like I was like smoking crack, like cracking plugins. Like no, dude, it was like an addiction. Like I was like, but like. One thing that I never got over with that addiction is just wanting new sounds and new plugins. Like I want new tones. I want new things that I want to fuck with, like I want to add it to my new song and I want to see what it does. And I feel like somehow like I'm ahead of the curve and like, no one's using this shit, like I'll have like the
you
plugin.
Still are that guy. Cause
yeah.
You know more. You're all about the new plugins. You ask me like,
facts.
oh, have you been using this? I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I jump on them and I'm like, dude, I'm using this plugin that's not even out, like it makes you kind of like do stuff a little different with your music.
Yeah.
It's just the thing. So anyway, so like Universal Audio, obviously like they make plugins, but they also make the hardware. And so when I found out that they put out new Apollos, like everyone's going to know about that, right? Like that's a big deal. And I think
they're the staple for most studios, I'd say these days. Like everywhere I go is Apollos.
Because it's like solid. It's solid stuff.
Yeah.
Like we're actually recording with an Apollo right now, like the X4, right? So like the Gen 2s came out and the guys over at UA sent me one to just check out. And they're like, hey, check it out if you want to make content with it.
Is it that one?
Yeah, the one that's there. And so I did like a blind shootout sort of thing on the YouTube channel, which was really cool.
You got to give him a summary of what your results were.
Yeah, it was actually pretty wild because like I did a blind shootout with the UAD Apollo X4, the Gen 2. And then I also had the Focusrite.
So Scarlett?
No, the Presonus.
Presonus?
Oh yeah, no, I did have the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2, but it was like the Gen 2 because I think that one sounds better.
Yeah, I got that one.
A lot of people didn't get that either. They're like, this is stupid because it's the Gen 2 and we're on Gen 4 or 5 or whatever. I'm like, dude, the Gen 2 sounds better than all those.
Because they just make them cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah, because people don't understand what Focusrite is. Focusrite was actually like Rupert Neve. Like he was designing a lot of stuff for Focusrite back in the days, and it was actually really, really, really high quality. And then it just kind of like, but anyway, so like shot it out between that and the Presonus Quantum HD8, which is fucking fantastic. It's like $1,000, 8 mic preamps.
Yeah, I mean that Universal Apollo is pretty hefty too, right? What's the cost for
Yeah, this one with the 4 mic pre's, which they're like the unison ones, so they model. That's honestly like the biggest, coolest thing about these to me personally is the modeling. Like right now, we're going through a chain on the console that's like modeling Neve and 1176s and all that shit. Yeah. And that's like my favorite part about them is the mic pre's, the ability to model stuff. But that 4 mic pre's, that one's $2,000. So that's like not a joke. Pretty serious piece of gear. Like, a computer
that's an
costs
investment for a lot of music, people just getting into music. So
bro, you can buy a whole computer.
Even the not the duet, the duet's have
the twin.
The twin.
Oh,
the
and
twin.
I also shot it out with the twin. The twin, not the not the X, but the twin before the X. So that's what I had. You know what I'm saying?
Just
but anyway,
the regular twin.
Yeah, like a lot of people actually picked the they were like, "Oh, my favorite sounding is the Scarlet."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think,
and it's because it has crazy EQ curves on it.
Yeah, I think that's what people's ears are used to these days.
It brightens everything.
It like scoops the shit out of it.
It has crazy EQ curves, and I'm like, oh, that's not really a good thing. Like, like I want to capture the full thing, but a lot of people, it
sounds detailed to them when it's really just,
when it's really just like. It's all hyped, fucking hyped up. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's normal. People will constantly pick things that have like a smiley face curve to them. Right.
That's just how audio works.
Facts. So. And it's a lot of hobbyists that pick that. But like the people that were really serious about audio, they were picking between this X4 and the
Quantum.
The Quantum. Yeah, which was crazy to me because like a lot of people really liked the Quantum. But like this the reason I like the UAD stuff, like to be real with you, and just to like a no bullshit kind of approach to what I think about it for real.
Don't bullshit them.
No, right now, here's what they're doing, right? Like UAD, Universal Audio. Remember, they're like Bill Putnam. They are like the forefront of what hardware is, analog hardware is. So when they started making interfaces and making digital recording plugins and all that stuff, they were making the greatest stuff that ever existed. And I remember you had to save up like $300 to buy a plugin. You know what I mean? Like, do you remember those times when you like had, and then you'd run out of processing power. So you'd like save up more money to buy like another,
Shit, we did a whole TV show, remember? On using the old Apollos and stuff like that. And you used to have to let me borrow one of yours because like I didn't have any.
That's right. So, that's right. Yeah, dude, we were scoring a TV show. That's right. So like this was like a real serious thing.
We were running everything at maximum. Like we ran out of Pro Tools tracks. Yeah. We were running out of DSP. We were pushing everything to.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And that wasn't even that long ago.
I know. Yeah.
But like,
was that maybe a decade? What was that a decade? No. It was like 6 years ago.
Yeah, maybe 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
But like, dude, like, technology moves so fast.
I know.
And right now it's like at a compounding rate.
Yeah.
But like the UAD stuff has changed so much. The hardware is like rock solid. To me, it's like the most rock solid hardware ever. Like my twin that I actually sold. I sold my twin. It was not the X, but just the one before that. Regular. And bro, like I had spilled coffee on that. I spilled beer on that. I spilled water on it. It had like loose screws in it. Never ever had a problem with it.
I'm not gonna lie. I've used a lot of twins. I've never owned any. The only UAD stuff I've ever owned is a satellite, and I still have an 8-core satellite just for mixing. But every studio I've been to, the power supplies always go out on those twins. So like I've just seen it. It's happened at this my publisher studio, Beachwave. So
weird.
Like they have Apollos in every room. So they've.
You talking about the brick like for the twin?
Yeah, no, because the brick shoots the power inside. Like I want to even just say maybe the power socket or whatever is going on the actual unit, because they've had to send it back. Like that's what I'm saying.
They've been a faulty unit.
No, they've been through a bunch of twins. That's what I'm saying. Like
why
in an
keep
actual,
buying them?
That's what I'm saying in a facility. Well, I think
just buy a rack or something, you know.
Yeah, but I think there's something nice about having a desktop unit. You know,
yeah, it is nice. It got the built-in talk back.
Yeah, you've been through every
dial.
Apollo, right? The desktop unit is like almost.
I like it.
Yeah.
It's
but
nice.
I would say so. I think just kind of analyzing what you were talking about, because I'll be honest, I didn't watch that video, but
right.
And I'm gonna be honest, like I've been on the same system. I'm one of those guys. You've known I've been on the Lynx Auroras since like you've ever met me. I've had my Lynx Auroras, my Aurora 8s.
You still have the same ones?
I haven't changed them.
Crazy.
The drivers don't even work on my operating system, but they sound amazing. I've used his Apollos, and
you use like the blackface Apollo.
Yeah, blackface Apollo. I've used these Apollos. I haven't really used the new Gen 2 because that came out in November or something, right?
They're great. They're so good.
Yeah. But nothing has really came up against those Auroras, and they're old as shit too. So
yeah. So okay. When you're talking about Auroras, though, you're just talking about conversion.
There's a sound card in them. I have the sound card.
Yeah.
I have the USB sound card in it.
Yeah, but that's all. It's all just conversion.
Yeah, there's no preamps.
Yeah. So.
But I have Neves. I have 1073s.
Yeah, but like, dude, for the price of an Aurora and Neve 1073s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, $1,500 gets you a twin Gen 2. With 2 mic pre's where you can pop on Neve, SSL.
Oh, I know.
Manly,
I know.
The preamp modeling in it alone, that's why you buy it. But then they're rock solid. You can travel with them really good. Yeah. But they're also like the A to D and D to A on them are really, really good.
You want to know what my travel recording is?
Scarlet.
Scarlet.
Gotta have the Scarlet, yeah.
Because you know what?
I can't do it.
The reason I use the Scarlet just to travel is because I'm usually, when I'm traveling, either I'm going to a studio and we're going to cut vocals for real, or if I'm traveling, I'm just getting scratches. So it's either one or the other. So I'm not going to get something really nice to travel with because it's either going to be we're already going somewhere nice and they're going to have something better, or I'm getting some scratch and I'm not going to care anyways.
Yeah, true. So the thing about the Scarlet though, like that I do love, bus powered. No drivers
it's
necessary.
A shit stick, you know what I mean?
No, bro, it's like...
You can't fuck it up.
It's crazy. Like, I still have one, dude, the Gen 2, right?
Yeah.
I plug it in, it works. Plug it in, it works. You know what I mean? And, like, still, like, with the knob, the volume knob, I'm like...
Oh, yours is noisy? Mine's still chilling.
I just do it a little bit, wiggle it for a little while, and then it's like, cleans up the pot. Good. But, dude, like, that thing, never any drivers installed. Never ever have to bring a wall wart or anything. You fucking plug it into USB, powers up. Like Logic sees it right away. Pro Tools sees it right away.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, who does that?
You can't. Everything has their own place, and so I can't diss the Scarlet. Me and you've been through it all. I used to have a 003 rack. I had an M-Box too. Rack. You had a 002?
I had the 003.
Oh, you had the 003.
I had the 002, of course.
Well. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. We've been through every shit interface, and those Scarlets, like, you can fuck them up. And you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. I've been through so many versions of the M-Box. Yeah. Like, I hated every single one of those. Fuck. So.
Yeah, but, like, a good interface to me, like, the reason I really like these interfaces is, first of all, I do a lot of mixing, and I use the plugins. But big thing is, for me, is the console.
Yeah, so that I guess I never got around to that because we started talking about Lynx Roars and all this stuff. But I think more so you're the ecosystem is everything for you. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And that's like, I'm sure that pre-Sonus Quantum, and I've never used it, so I can't speak on it, but I'm sure that thing sounds really good, but it doesn't have the ecosystem. It's just like, all the people like, well, PC's better than Mac because I can, it's so much cheaper and I can get the greatest graphics card in the world. Yeah. And everyone in Mac is like, it just works. I turn it on and it works.
Yeah, it works, and I can get to work and I got to get shit done.
And that's, I mean, I use Apollos all the time, like I said, in so many different studios. Like, that's why you get an Apollo, because the ecosystem, like, if you're trying to get to work and you need to, you need to throw these plugins, you need a Neve sound, you know what I mean? You can throw that
exactly, dude, I got my vocal chains dialed in. I got the consoles all routed. So, like, I got my X6, all my synths going in there. You know what I mean? Like, anytime I can just unmute them on the console and just, like, play right through it. No latency, nothing, If I need to, like, for example, I'm doing like Ecamm screen cap and I'm doing lives and shit on YouTube, etc. I can monitor what I'm doing and what I'm like if I'm cutting vocals or whatever.
Yeah.
I can monitor directly off the console, no latency. I don't need to go through the eCam driver or the OBS driver that causes all this latency.
Yeah.
So you're trying to like do a live stream and you're trying to sing, but you're hearing yeah, you know, like no, you just, you know, turn your fader down in Logic Pro and turn up the console or unmute it. And yeah, the console is the powerful part. It's like a lot of interfaces don't have that. The ability to just add all these plugins, real-time auto-tune, send to a really nice Lexicon 480L with no fucking latency.
Yeah.
Like it rocks solid too. And like, dude, you're modeling the impedance, your impedance matching on the Neve 1073, on the Neve 88RS console preamp, the SSL console preamps. Like the preamps are, you couldn't compare it to any other interface because like you could say like, oh, well, what about this interface? And it's like, yeah, but they don't have what UAD has in their preamp technology.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's almost even tried to copy that. Like, you know, I've seen Antelope try to put the same sort of thing.
They try.
Yeah, you know, UAD has done it for so long, and they, like you said, they come from the hardware, so they know exactly how to model it. But I will say at the same time, like, let's be completely honest. All the real-time stuff, love it, but this new generation is still using the old Shark chips that they've been using since the beginning of time. Yeah, and I think
I think they're trying to. I think they're steering away from them.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to get to.
They have the UAD-X. You know, you got computers coming out that have 14 cores, 16 cores. You know,
I don't even think it's the core count. I just think that the latency thing in the future won't be an issue because the amount of processing that you know, M1s, M2s, and when we're on like M10s and M12s.
Yeah, I mean, we got M4 Pros, M4 Maxes out.
You know, so I think UAD knows that. That's why they've been switching so heavy into native.
And look, dude, like every company has to do that.
Yeah.
Do you remember like using Pro Tools where you had like I can't even remember, like TDM plugins that were running off of the cards in Pro Tools HD, right? Like all that stuff is dated now.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're in a film scoring, cinematic movie avid kind of setup, you don't really need that shit.
Yeah.
Who needs that?
Yeah. I mean,
you got dude, you have a decent like Mac Mini with an M4 Pro in it.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're blasting through shit, bro. Like,
I think for music, yeah, like I said,
especially for music,
we used to push though. Like, it just depends on the projects you're doing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, unless you're in like an avid movie scoring, like you don't need HD Pro, like running TDM plugins. That's the whole point of like, why would you do that with an interface? You know what I'm saying? Like who's mixing records that need like that many fucking UAD plugins? And I mean, I won't say that because I still mix records that need that many UAD plugins. You know, I still have like a quad core satellite, 6 cores in my X6, 4 more cores in the X4. You know, like
you're using them all or what?
Yeah, I'll max them out on a mix. Yeah, depending.
I'm about to say, and I think because that's kind of one of my arguments now is that.
But then I can go to UADX and I can kind of balance out stuff. Which is nice because they're making more and more of those plugins.
I'm going to be completely honest. I almost primarily use UADX at this point because when I'm moving sessions around from my laptop to my desktop, studio computer, or even my home computer.
Yeah, you're not trying to plug in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to have to worry about cores and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But I think UAD knows that.
But UADX, there's this one issue with it.
They're missing stuff. Yeah, of course.
No, like for me, like my shit resets. Like where I open up a session and it's like, you need to...
Your preset? Oh, you have to activate?
No, dude, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, that's
you guys gotta fix that. You gotta fix that. Yeah. Dude, you have to have...
I hate that.
Dude.
Sometimes you have to close your session.
How many times have you like opened up a session and hit play and you're like, this doesn't sound the way I remember it?
Yeah.
Dude, and I'm using like the organ and stuff because that B3 is amazing in the UAD. Like that is the only organ that I think sounds like pretty fucking close to a real organ. Like you can tweak that thing and you're like,
I got to get into it. I know there's a bunch of plugins.
The B3, the waterfall is amazing, dude. It's so good. So like that's the problem though. Like you open up a session, it's like activate your thing, and I'm like, what the fuck? There's like 15 UADX plugins in here. My whole mix is falling apart because they're not activated. And then I got to go into the UAD.
Every session you basically have to activate it. So,
bro, it's driving me crazy. That shit's annoying.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm paying $20 a month for that.
Oh, you're on the subscription?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah, it's because I use like so many of those plugins.
Okay, but you already own half that stuff, I remember. You know what I mean?
Not all of it.
But yeah, I think the here's the thing. The problem is that all the like plugins like that, you know what I mean? They used to be, you could only get them through Universal Audio. You could only get a Fairchild that sounded that good through Universal Audio. Yeah. You could only get a Massive Passive that sounded that good through Universal Audio.
I still feel like the 660, 670 from UAD is like the top.
I've shot that one out with a bunch of different brands, and I'm going to be honest, I could use any of those other brands. Like, yeah, if you wanted to get that, like, I almost say sometimes the difference is only like 2 to 3%.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it is better, but like,
sure,
so minuscule at this point. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
So, especially when you're talking about activation issues, like I'm gonna go to
I mean, when I'm using like Fairchilds and stuff, I'm usually using off the chips. I don't usually use the UADX. Do they even have the UADX on Fairchild?
I use the chips too. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think they do. I noticed though.
Manly too. The variable mu UAD.
Yeah, I use that.
I can't use any other variable mu.
Yeah,
like Pulsar has a pretty good one.
I haven't really
but it's so different.
You shoot out a lot more plugins to me. It's just once it's in my rotation, and like I said,
Mixwave has some of the best plugins. You got to tap in with them for sure.
I'm a heavy Plugin Alliance user because like I even just
Plugin Alliance has good stuff. It always feels a little cheap to me.
I use their API strip, and I used to use the UAD API strip, but I like the Plugin Alliance one better. But I still like the 2500 from the UAD better than any 2500.
Hands down.
That 2500 is
irreplaceable. I don't think anyone will ever model a 2500 as well.
But what I noticed is that 2500 is a little bit cleaner than like an actual 2500, and so some of the other
hardware is always going to be kind of a little different because it's all has that hardware thing where you hit something with it, like a complex waveform with a hardware, and you do something with the knobs and it hits that one spot and you're like, the fuck? Like that you don't get out of a plugin.
I think
they want to get that out of a plugin, but plugins are much more predictable.
The Plugin Alliance 2500 is probably closer to a real 2500.
Maybe, yeah.
But
just like their SSL, their like G series comp, you know, what is it called? The Towns House.
I use the Townhouse.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
But what I was saying is I'm sure theirs is closer. I just love how, like, cause the version in UAD of the 25 is just cleaner and punchier. And
so punchy.
Regardless of whether
you hear
it sounds
those
like
op amps. You feel those op amps.
But regardless if it sounds like the hardware or not, I'm still leaning towards that.
Still love it,
yeah.
Yeah. I totally agree.
But I guess my whole point with bringing that up is that UAD now has a lot of competitors in the plugin space that are punching at their level without, needing to buy into the ecosystem and, all the other things. So,
the guys over at Keve Audio.
Yeah, see, Brad's on the plugins more than me. I'm just...
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm tapping in with some new shit. Like... Yeah. Because there's such great designers out there now. Like you have guys out there that are spending their whole fucking life savings on this. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're like, I'm going to make
the greatest.
Dude, just like Ryan Schwab, he's like, I'm going to make something really dope. Like if you talk to him about this stuff and the way he's doing it, like he's like, man, with Gold Clip, like I just went way too crazy with it,
Yeah.
It's like you kind of have to if you're going to do that game. It's like, why are you going to be in music? Why are you going to be in this competitive, like balls to the wall? Very few people actually make a living doing it and then do half-ass at it. Like, why are you going to be the Temu of fucking audio engineers if you're going to be an audio engineer? Yeah. Like, it's just no point, dude. What are you going to be on Fiverr? Like, oh man, I'm going to do a mix for $50, bro. No problem. It's like, how is that fulfilling? Oh, bro, I do presets and I throw the thing on and I get it done. It's like, get it done? That makes no sense. No fun. You're not pushing any envelopes.
I mean, it's not even that. I just don't get a lot of time to shoot out, or I have multiples of the same sort of thing. I have so many LA3As. I have so many SSL channels.
The LA2A game is like saturated.
It's just so
like,
saturated in plugins. Like you can't excite me about another 660 plugin. You know what I mean? Like there's so many things. Like I'm already.
Although the Unfair Child is pretty dope.
That's what I'm saying. You can't excite me about another one because I'm sure it is dope. I have no doubts. Yeah. I've never tried it, but
see, I find like a plugin that does a thing for a thing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like I'm like, this does this thing on my snare. This does this thing on my bass. You know what I mean? And then I'm just like, that's what I use on basses. I know how to get something fast and get to that point where I want to go. Like, oh, I love this saturation. Like, for example, use the Pro Q3, Pro Q4.
I'm still using. You want to know? This is how you know I'm old man. I'm still using the BX Digital like everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, but that's your thing, right? So if
I have the Pro Q3,
but you have like the V3, the BX Digital, right?
Yeah. You know what? The truth is, everyone sends me sessions with the Pro Q3, so I had to buy it just so that I could open people's sessions. But like, I don't really use it as much because I'm just so used to the V3 because I can swoop frequencies so quick on that.
That's my point though. Like you know how to find that thing that you do.
I know how to do. Right. I get to what I need to the fastest on
Facts.
it. Because I even bought the what's the soft tube YCQ. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be my new daily driver, and I just never opened it.
I'm not a fan of it. Yeah. It's really sterile. It's just like
that's what I go for. It
doesn't sound musical.
When I go for like an EQ to just clean out frequencies, I want clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean the Pro Q3 is like much more musical. I mean, like it doesn't phase shift and add weird shit to it.
The thing that I liked about the Pro Q3 is that obviously you can modify it in a gajillion ways. That's really cool. But at the same time, most of the EQing that I'm doing is simple. So like I don't need crazy dynamic options and you know what I mean? I'm just doing some simple.
But you do a lot more production and pre-production and stuff.
I still mix. I mostly only mix for my client stuff that I've produced. So like I'm not taking outboard like other people's production and mixing it. I'd rather just work on my own. So
it's hard, huh?
Yeah.
It's hard to like I still do mix. Very rarely I mix people's stuff like that's produced by other people. But when I do, I'm like, just change the production, bro.
I know, because things
like you're like, bro, the problem is not the mix, bro.
You got
like
5 things in the same
what the
frequency.
fuck is this kick drum, bro? Like you picked the worst kick drum for this song.
Why are you stacking 3 of them in?
why is there an electric bass, an 808, a sub bass, and then what is this other bass? Why do you have so many basses? Yeah, bro.
What are you trying to do with those?
Can you mix this, bro? Can you mix this, bro? Mix what, dude? Just mute this and mute that, and there you go. It's done.
Yeah, I personally don't have the time.
Just put it in the trash.
Yeah, but you know what? At the same time, so like I said, I'm all about what you were talking about. Like, I'm such a go guy because I have to fart out so much music that like I need something rock solid. Like I heavily recommend UAD just because of all the options. Like the ecosystem is ridiculous. Like
if you set it up and you got your chains, you got your console ready, bro. Like vocalists come over, like writers come over, and like
Marco's
they just
got
sound
that
so good right away.
Marco's got the UAD mic.
Yeah,
we were messing around with the modeling. Like I said, the ecosystem is untouched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can model
I think that's
mic.
what they've been building in the last in the last 5 years. They've really been focusing on that.
I saw what's his name? The drummer, what's it with his brand? He tried to basically do what UAD was doing. He did a modeling mic too. He did the Slate VSX. He did the headphones. He did the modeling
Slate
mic.
ML1.
Yeah, the ML1. Yeah,
they did that before.
I have some Slate plugins, and like I said, and those were always cool. But I think
that's funny that you call him the drummer.
Yeah,
Steven.
Yeah, he's a drummer. Right?
Yeah, isn't that funny?
I mean, most people
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, people don't know that.
That's because like Slate
the drum guy.
Slate was drums. Slate drums.
Yeah, Slate drums. That's what I'm saying. We're dinosaurs. I guess most kids wouldn't understand that, but yeah.
Slate. He's making dope shit. He's always made dope shit.
Yeah.
All their plugins are great.
But I think he got out of the digital his digital brand at least, right?
He's not doing the mics and stuff. He sold that company.
And so that's what I'm saying. That,
I still fuck with it. I have the ML1 upstairs. I love it. I use it all the time. And I use it with I love the there are like all these different mic modeling.
I'm surprised you never got the UAD mic or the Townsend or whatever. You know what I mean?
No, I didn't. It was too complicated, I felt like. Like, oh, you need 2 mic pre's, and then you got to balance it, and then the stereo. I'm like, dude, I don't need that. Fucking plug it in, turn it on. Yeah. Like the Slate stuff, it's like you plug it in, you go put the plug-in on, and you pick your mic.
I feel like they've made it easier.
And then you just go flip through mics.
Now that UAD bought Townsend, I think they've made it easier.
No, you guys, send me a Townsend mic, and I'll check it out. But like, I don't know, dude. Like, I feel like when you get a workflow going, just like you're saying with the V3 EQ, you know, it's like you get a workflow going, you know how to get to that thing that you're looking, like you're hearing in your head. You're like, I know what that sound is.
Yeah.
And I know how to now physically go boop, 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 and make that sound come back out of the speakers. You just don't go like, oh, I wonder what else I could use to do this. Why would you do that? You're like writing a song. You're trying to get creative. Like a lot of the times it's about flow, right? Like I try to get into a flow state.
Yeah.
Like every day for me is personally like I try to wake up and go to the computer and make music because, you know, and I learned this from Quincy Jones. He said, you know, the best music you make in the studio is when you're like in that delta state, like right before falling asleep, like you're almost like napping and you just like a melody will come to you or something, you know? And like when you wake up, the best thing to do, like that I've been doing personally is I'll wake up, I'll just have like electrolytes and like a morning like water with electrolytes sort of thing.
Sounding very hippie-ish.
Super hippie. I'm kind of a hippie.
Trying to get my flow state, bro.
No, for real. And I'm like, I'm still tired. I don't have coffee or anything yet. And I go in and I make music for an hour.
Yeah.
And because like, dude, when you just do that and you don't think about it like, oh, I should do this or I should do that or I gotta wake up or whatever. Like you just go and you start, like I'll leave the last session open or whatever and I just start making stuff and start writing. Like then all of a sudden you're like making music for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And you're like, oh dude, I just like almost got this whole song like arranged and everything. And then it's like you got into a flow state. And it's hard for me to do that if I'm thinking about it, you know, or if I'm like preparing for it, or if I'm like, oh, first I got to do this. I got to eat first. I got to have some coffee first. I got to do this first. It ruins it for me. I'm like, all of a sudden I'm not in the mood to make music now. Now I'm all jacked up on coffee and I want to like do, you know, emails and like look at stuff and watch YouTube and I get fucked up. So yeah, sometimes it's just like you get in that flow state when you're in that in between like waking up and going to sleep sort of feeling.
I agree. The flow state is actually super important.
It's hard to get into sometimes.
Because I think people try to worry about things like inspiration and all that type of shit
you can't,
too much.
You can't. You just have to go do it and then it just starts to happen, you know?
And I think especially music in 2025, like we're too reliant on all the technical shit.
Bro, you always have this also. Like you're like, let me check something real quick. And then you're like, you lost your flow state, you know?
Yeah, but also like the technicals can really slow you the fuck down making music in 2025.
Facts.
Because like, especially now, it's like, especially when everything's digital, like you were saying, if the modeling mic is like too much of a pain in the ass to get going. You start
like finicking
I can't
with
do
this.
it because I'm trying to get.
And then all of a sudden you're updating plugins.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, I've spent 30 minutes updating plugins. And then you're like, I don't even feel like making music now.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like, I'll like, oh, this is not working. Oh, I gotta fucking go and figure this out. And,
I think I gotta restart my computer.
I have to update the operating system.
My UAD plugins didn't open up on the latest.
I gotta activate it, but now I gotta reopen the session.
So true. Anyway, I think we should wrap this one up, y'all.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys tuning in. If you guys got anything out of the podcast, you have fun with us, definitely subscribe to the channel. Make sure you drop some love in the comments. And where can they find Kevin?
kdebeats. I gotta change that, man. I'm not much of a beat maker these days.
He's got making that.
I'm a producer.
It's called fatbeats.com.
Yeah, at kdebeats.
On Instagram?
Insta, yeah. TikTok might be unavailable pretty soon. So.
Yeah. Just hit him on Insta. And then you can get at me at bradleyhd on all platforms. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We got a lot more coming, so stay tuned.